Hey everybody, welcome back to the Unstoppable podcast. I'm your host, Diana Chen, and I'm here today with our guest, Hamzah Khan. He's the head of DeFi at Polygon, formerly Matic. And most of you, I'm sure, have at least heard of Polygon if you're not deeply familiar with what it is. But for those of you new to it, it's a protocol and a framework for scaling on the blockchain. And that's a way oversimplified description of it. So I'm excited to have Hamzah here to talk a lot more about what Polygon is. So welcome, Hamzah. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks, Diana. Thanks for having me, and thanks for. I think someone recommended me to come on the podcast. I remember.
Yeah, I put out a tweet.
Yes.
Saying like, who do you guys want to hear on the podcast?
Yeah.
And I think multiple people tagged you actually. So I
Yeah.
reached out, and I'm really glad you're here.
Yeah. Thank
So before we dive into Polygon, I'd love to know a little bit more about your background and how you got into crypto. So take us all the way back to when you first heard about crypto. What was it that drew you in, and how did you start learning about it?
Yeah, I think 2017. I think that was pretty much most of the people, at least right now, how they got into crypto. I think 2017 was the time period. July, I think I was in Dubai with some family. I was in college at that time, but I was in Dubai during my summer vacation and got to know about Bitcoin then. I think Bitcoin was, I remember, $5,000 during July 2017. And yeah, I just got reading into, I think this ICO bubble has just started. It was just getting started. Bitcoin white paper I read these double spend problems, consensus, Nakamoto consensus, and these Byzantine general problem, these sort of things. And it just struck me. I mean, it would be oversimplifying by saying it struck me, but it was very a new way of solving a economic as well as a technical problem. And I read somewhere that someone said that during that time that Satoshi Nakamoto should be rewarded a Nobel Prize in economics, and then a computer science problem, which is the Turing Award. And then it clicked me, oh really, is it that big? And then I started looking more into Bitcoin, and then of course Ethereum. And yeah, I think that got me hooked into like 2017. I think that was.
Gotcha. And so in 2017, there weren't there weren't nearly as many resources as there are today for learning. So how did you go about figuring out, wrapping your head around what this is? Because I think most people, when they first have exposure to the Bitcoin white paper, it's just a bunch of words that make no sense, and it's sort of hard to wrap your mind around. So
Yes,
how did you go about teaching yourself back in 2017?
I think random articles, random blog, technical articles from, I don't remember, but I think I one particular thing I remember was reading the Bitcoin book, the Mastering Bitcoin. I remember it was Mastering Bitcoin, and then bunch of Andreas Antonopoulos videos. Like everyone watches, everyone starts getting into that. I think yeah, that was pretty much. But I read the white paper. I was going through the subreddits, Bitcoin subreddits a lot blockchain subreddits. I read the paper multiple times. I was going through those initial discussions of Satoshi with the forums, right? There was this initial discussions that were happening with people. Once the article came out, he was explaining what it is and why it is important, and in the forums, I remember that I was reading it multiple times. I think yeah, I read those references a lot of times. I remember, like in the white paper, you had references, right? Hashcash, other projects that were inspirations of Bitcoin. I think yeah, those things were pretty cool. But I
Yeah.
don't exactly remember where everything happened. Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like for people who got in earlier on, Reddit was a good source of information, but I think today it's changed a little
Now,
bit.
now Reddit has become like crazy, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you go from there, getting that first exposure to crypto, to now being, the chief DeFi officer at Polygon?
I don't know, like it happened serendipitously. Like I was doing, after that I lost touch, like with some stupid people like me who lost touch after the crash happened. But yeah, after that I left for almost 1.5 years, was not following things, which was retrospectively not probably the worst decision anyone could make during that time. But yeah, I was part of hackathons during 2020. Once during summer of 2020, and then I think Matic. I was part of some hackathons, and Matic was hiring back then. I was building some stuff. I come from a technical background, so my background is engineering, mechanical and computer engineering. So I taken two both courses in college. Um, so yeah, I was building some stuff while having a day job. And yeah, I think Matic was hiring. I just spoke with Sandeep and the team there, and yeah, they needed someone. So I was doing some stuff of my own, like of course everyone starts with trading, everyone starts with, but I was experiencing these projects like Uniswap, Synthetics, Aave, Compound. I was like playing around with them, understanding what Chainlink is. I mean, these educational sort of thing. Other than of course trading shitcoins, that is a different thing. But yeah, more of an educational thing. And I think Matic just happened at that time, and early January, and yeah, it's been it started as like 10 team. I remember 10% team, the business development team, and now I think we are more than 50 in the business development team. So it's been
Wow.
one hell of a ride, to say.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, seriously. So, take me back, to sort of like walk us through the genesis story of Matic. I know you weren't, there from the very beginning, but as far as you understand, the story of how it was started, what was Matic initially when it was first created, and then how has it developed as it's transitioned from Matic to Polygon and where it is today?
Yeah, I think I honestly heard first about Matic when back I was in college, because I studied from India, and Matic again is an Indian company, and that was the only company that was Indian at that 2017 time, when IOTA, EOS, these sort of projects were taking the hype. But I vividly remember Matic was the only Indian project apart from a couple of exchanges that were there. So of course they were a big inspiration to be a part of this industry at that. I think pretty much all of the Indians that are there in this space, Matic probably is the biggest inspiration, even probably bigger than Ethereum. I would honestly say bigger than Ethereum, because it just gave us a thing that okay, it could be done. But yeah, other than that, so yeah, I think Matic started off as a plasma research project. I mean, the founders were part of the plasma research team. I think JD was one of the contributors, initial contributors to the GitHub and those open source project. And Sandeep was involved in other consulting things, which then came together to start a project, a scaling solution, basically a scaling blockchain. And during that time, people who were there, CryptoKitties happened, which was the first use case of, not first, but probably one of the first mainstream use cases of Ethereum blockchain, with games, NFTs, and those sort of things. So the spike happened, the scaling problems were coming up, and during that time, a lot of Plasma solutions came up, and Matic was one of them. But slowly we realized that okay, Plasma is not the. I don't remember when, I think, but Sandeep was mentioning during DEF CON Osaka sometime they realized that okay, Plasma is not going to scale due to a lot of problems. 7-day withdrawal. The 7-day withdrawal was one. I mean, you could technically build something, but when you talk about adoption, when you talk about you know scaling things actually, and by scaling I mean not just TPS and not just gas fees becoming low, but actually user experience scaling up. It was just not there with Plasma. It was not 100% EVM compatible, which means you have to ship a lot of different things internally, pretty much similar to what optimistic rollups are today, at least in my opinion, because at least they have the 7-day withdrawal period right now again, which is a problem. This was similar things were happening with Plasma. Then we moved to a POS chain that is today POS commit chain, where our architecture is a little different than normal side chains, like probably XDAI. We are a different architecture. But now I think 2020 came. 2020 came where we saw optimistic rollups coming. Then we saw Polkadot coming, which is like an SDK. Not exactly an SDK, but yeah, you can build your own chains and stuff like that. Then we saw ZK rollups, and I think we are heavily invested in ZK rollups. Of course, you must have seen the acquisition and some other. That is just one of the acquisition. There are multiple things coming up, collaborations. I think Hermes was one. Then EY, we are doing very interesting thing with Ernst & Young. Recently, the Nightfall project, they will be working closely with what do you call Polygon, with Polygon as one of the scaling solutions. That is one thing. Then we have other solutions in the Plonks space, which is another ZK side, and then Stark space. So these 3-4 things are interesting. And now with the SDK that we have launched, people can build their own chains spawned off from the main network. So one of the teams is actually live on testnet with their own chain. So it's a prediction platform called Sportex. It's a pretty good Canada-based project, and they wanted to scale beyond just the main chain. And the whole chain will be secured by their SX token, which is a pretty cool thing. Similar to, it's EVM compatible, so you don't have to worry too much about porting codes and whatnot. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing. And I think gaming and NFTs will be very important on SDK. So yeah.
Got it. And so for people who don't know what SDK is, can you explain what that is?
Oh yeah. So SDK basically is a toolbox of creating your own chain. You can spawn off like something like Polkadot. How does Polkadot substrates work? For people aware, so you can build your own chain, application specific chains basically. Something like Compound Cash is doing something like Polkadot substrates, but it is EVM compatible. It is Solidity and EVM compatible, so you don't have to worry about those things, about writing in a Rust language or whatever. And you can use Matic, or you could use your own token for staking it. You can use your your security by having SX token or whichever token you have, or you could have the Matic token, which shares the security of the POS network.
Right. And then for non-technical people listening, the benefit or why you would want to basically like create your own chain that's EVM compatible is because what's happening right now with gas fees and why everything is so expensive for people to conduct a simple transaction is because it's getting over congested, and there's essentially a traffic jam on Ethereum. And so by creating your own chain, you can reduce that traffic jam and just create a new chain that has no congestion. And so that's how you keep the gas fees low.
Not just Ethereum. So even on Polygon. So for example, so the end goal for blockchains is that especially on blockchains, gaming or these nuanced projects like prediction markets. So it should be a seamless Web3 experience. Like people should not know that it is a Web3 experience. Like at least users, there should be no gas. There should be instant finality of transactions. There should be less lag. These sort of things should not be there. And for very consumer focused applications like prediction markets, like Polymarket does, like games which require better finality of transactions to happen, for NFT drops where certain gas spikes can take the whole network down, like has been happening on Ethereum, has been happening on BSC. We saw some instances happen on Polygon as well. So we quickly realized that for good like long-term projects, it definitely makes sense to have your own chain, like we saw with Axie Infinity, right? It's a perfect example. Ronin is a perfect example to build your own chain and have your own because the problem there is that these gaming games, they don't really require that level of security or that level of composability that a DeFi application needs. Correct. Basically a DeFi application. Compound is a very different application than an Axie Infinity. Although they might have, even if they have same number of users and whatnot, but the level of security is different. So we are working very closely with some Web2 gaming studios who will be building their own chains and creating a Web3 experience, but very seamless with meta transactions that the user doesn't even have to pay gas. Like you just sign in with your MetaMask wallet, that's it. So that experience has to be, so basically, like if you were building Netflix on Ethereum, on blockchain, or you're building next Fortnite on blockchain, you can't ask user to pay, $2 of gas. That won't happen. That just won't happen. You will not get adoption with that. So that is the goal with SDK, to be able to get these Web 2 players to abstract away that complexity of gas and these things for their users, but to have scalability while being on the blockchain.
Yeah, one point of confusion I think that I've heard a lot of people ask recently is, now that ETH2 has launched,
Yeah.
does that solve the problems that we're facing with scaling? And do we still need these layer 2 solutions and SDKs now that ETH2 is live? Can you talk a little bit more about that, and like what ETH2 is and what it actually does, and then what these, like your scaling solution, for instance, does?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know why people are saying ETH2 has launched. So ETH2 is like a phase, right? Like there is the merge. There is first 1559, then there is the merge, then there is sharding, then there is cross rollup. There is rollups, then there is sharding, then there is cross rollup sharding. So it's not like it's like ETH2 happened. Like it won't. It's not like that. Like it's a much more. We are securing $200 billion of assets, probably more now, and it has to be a series of ways. And even on ETH2 ETH2 roadmap, in the Vitalik's blog, you can read clearly that rollups will play a major role in that, and rollups will play a major role, and hence ZK rollups come into the picture, and that is how we have prepared ourselves for the next phase, which ETH 2.0, once it is live, which probably won't be happening until Q2 2022. Q1, Q2 2022, those things is really difficult for those to become in prod, especially in prod. And this is where rollups, optimistic ZK come into the picture. You could read this recent this article in the ETH research thing about cross rollup NFTs happening, because the Ethereum main chain is getting so congested, again with the NFTs that are happening. So Vitalik recently wrote out a blog about how cross rollup NFTs can happen, and NFTs can be natively minted on them, on the rollups, but having the same security as Ethereum. And we like the Hermes team, the Polygon Hermes team was actively part of that. I think ZK Sync was part of that. So like in general, if you look at layer 2s in general, I think Ethereum can only scale with layer 2s as well as 2.0. It is not possible without, because we have found product market fit. It will be very difficult now to just be indiscreet.
Yeah, and then one question I have always had about L2s, and I've asked a lot of people this and haven't gotten really a very clear answer on that, is when I think about L2s, it seems like we're gonna face the same problems with L2s that we're facing with the L1 at some point in the future, right? Yes. So L2s are not a permanent solution. Does this mean we're just going to keep building, L3s, L4s? Like, is there a permanent solution to this, or is it just, a constant battle to keep building additional layers on top of the layer 1?
No, this I agree. Like, so Ethereum, like so this is in our paper about data availability. I think if anyone wants to read, check it out. It's not shilling anything, but it's a really good perspective that even I did not have before these things were happening. Is that your main chain does three things? Is of course security, is your data availability, and your of course computation, whatever computation happens. Now with layer 2s, the current flavor of layer 2s, you are offloading your computation. So you're putting it on a side chain. Even with rollups, like that's essentially a side chain that you are doing the computation, but then rolling up onto Ethereum via different proofs, either game theoretic or zero knowledge. Now what happens is, yes, they will face that gas will go up, because like even today single digit right on Arbitrum and Optimism to do, and by virtue of that a lot of things can't be built. Like NFTs can't be built, games can't be built on with that level of gas. So there's something called data availability, which Ethereum network main chain does. And data availability means that you are in sync with, so there is one layer that is in sync with your Ethereum network and your sidechain, whichever it is, your rollup sidechain, whatever that sidechain is. You have to be in sync with that main chain as well as the rollup to keep data available for both. And this data availability layer is secured by Matic, for example, or whichever token, whichever these rollups come with the token. So that is secured via that token. Now this data availability, now you are fighting less heavily with main chain. Like, so every transaction that you do on sidechain will be rolled up and put onto main chain, correct? And because Ethereum has this fixed state size, there will definitely be more intensive gas wars coming when these Ethereum main chain gas goes up as well as the roll-up gas goes up. Because in turn, you are fighting for that space when Optimism and ZK and all of these things go live. So there has to be this layer of data availability that reduces burden on the main chain. You just have to commit it, and they have to just put it on the main chain, and you don't have to wait for approval. The data availability does that for you. The middle layer of data availability does that for you. I know it might not be sounding that intuitive, but I think the white paper does a better job than I'm doing right now. But yeah, the goal of this data availability layers solution that we are building, it's already live. We are speaking with all of the rollup teams to be in working closely with them for this, because we definitely think that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, like you said. These rollups will definitely see gas problems coming, see scaling problems coming if they hit 1 million users, for example, like how we did. And it's just a matter of when. Definitely, I agree.
Yeah, for sure. Another question that I've heard a lot of people ask about, Polygon and about just like L2 solutions in general is the question about security. Are L2s as secure as the L1s? And, like, how does Polygon think about that?
No, L2s are not as secure as L1. Of course, they come in, I mean, no matter what people say on Twitter, no, it's not. They come in with a lot of, because it's very early. It's very early in the development phase. They come in with a lot of assumptions. They come in with a lot of caveats. The current flavor of rollups, optimistic rollups, are pretty centralized in a sense that there is only one sequencer. There is which theoretically could do a lot of malicious things, but I mean, it's still early. So I mean, these teams are public and well reputed, but theoretically speaking, yes, there's a lot of centralization in these rollups as well as I mean, Polygon, the main chain, the POS chain. We do have 100 validators. We are rolling out a governance, a time lock governance very soon in the next 1 week. By 25th or 24th, we should be live with some things that we are putting a time lock on the multi-sig bridge. So essentially, anyone who has so let's say you don't want certain project to deploy or whatever, like you don't see fit, you can remove your funds, and or any update that we do on the bridge, upgradable contracts are there. But if you don't like the upgrades for whatever reason, you can remove your funds within 2 days from the bridge. So those things are happening. This is more of a security thing, but decentralization, I think, the current flavor of rollups are certainly not as decentralized as no way as decentralized as Ethereum. But yes, over time, of course, we'll definitely see it tends toward that.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned earlier the Matic token. That's something I wanted to ask you about as well, is how does the Matic token work? I'd love to hear about like the tokenomics. Is it pretty similar to Ethereum, or is it different in some way?
I mean, Ethereum, it's not infinite supply. Firstly, if you say that it's like Ethereum, so it's not infinite supply. Although we do burn Matic with the 1559 proposal recently. So we are burning to be in sync with all the Ethereum tooling that will be coming out. So yes, we are burning Matic every day now to be in sync with 1559. But tokenomics, I think, are pretty straightforward. It's mostly for the community. We raised small amount back with Binance and Coinbase in 2019. A very small amount, I think less than $1 million. And I think that's pretty much the raise that we have done. Other than little strategic advisory with the Ethereum Foundation people and Mark Cuban and these people. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much community. Other than that, of course, the Matic token is a yield generating token. So basically, it's a POS token where you can stake it on the Ethereum. On the POS chain. So how it works is we have our contract, we have our validators, 100 validators on Ethereum. So you can stake Matic on Ethereum on the POS chain to generate, I think 14% is now the price, now the APY. And yeah. And of course, it's used as gas on the Polygon chain. So
Got it. I want to talk about. Yeah,
and
sorry.
yes, and also it will be used as the collateral for the Hermes rollups. So Matic will be used as the collateral to build your own validator on the Hermes network.
Okay, gotcha. So I want to talk more about like some of the practical sides of it. So a lot of projects have already built on Polygon, a lot of big projects. Can you talk about like some of the projects that you're most excited to see build on Polygon and the impact that you've seen those businesses or those projects have so far?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely, I think when we started, the idea was to bootstrap the liquidity, and there was this mission. Call it a meme, call it a mission, whatever. But the idea was to bring DeFi for all. It was very simple, and we wanted to work with communities. We wanted to work with projects, and not just outright fork. That we saw some other people do. And that is how we were very clear from the beginning that we wanted to work directly with projects like Aave, like the building blocks, basically, like the building blocks like Aave, Compound, Balancer, Sushi, who else? Curve, of course, Curve. Very importantly, OpenSea. So we were very, very clear that okay, we wanted to work with them and not just fork them and put some Ponzinomics around it. Because it's not just about TVL, it's about community, it's about use cases, it's about new projects that build on top of them. It's the quality of the projects that build on top of them, and that is what we were very clear from the beginning. So of course, like you see, Aave was the first project that came in with a huge network, and that I think created a bunch of network effects. Then Curve, Sushi came in. I think these are the Legos we were very clear to start off with. Then of course Balancer, Kyber, but then a lot of BSC projects started moving to Polygon with their liquidity. So that was very interesting to see. But yeah, I definitely think Balancer and Aave very important as part of the whole ecosystem, because a lot of interesting stuff can be built on top of them. So yield aggregators, credit delegation, like bunch of flash loans. Furo Combo does that very well with Aave. Then Balancer, we are speaking very closely. Some interesting things will be coming. Treasury management things will be coming with Balancer. Some projects are looking into that as well. I think these two. I love Furo Combo. That is, I am a big fan of Furo Combo. For people who don't know, Furo Combo allows you to build Legos to interact with different protocols and work with them in just one click. So basically, you can deposit collateral on Aave, take a loan, do arbitrage, take the profit, swap it on a DEX, and then put back the collateral on Aave with one click. So that is, I think, a very cool thing. And they have, I think, 4x more users on Polygon than on Ethereum. Aave has, I think 5x, 6x more users on Polygon than on Ethereum. Balancer has 7x the more utilization rate on Polygon than on Ethereum. Like that is pretty big. Like 7x the utilization rate means volume upon liquidity, the utility that is happening on the pool. So these are some metrics that I think are very, very, very important for any DeFi ecosystem and for people building in that DeFi ecosystem.
Yeah, when you think about the future, do you think it's more important that people really like immerse themselves in the ecosystem and learn more about how everything works? Or do you think it's more important that the builders build out a product that is, like what you just said, like one click and you can do all of these things, and really like makes it easy for the user so the user doesn't have to understand all of these things?
No, I think like if you want to understand DeFi, just jump right in. Like I think I started like that. There is this culture in our team that anyone joining the DeFi team, we give them like $100 and then ask them to start playing around on Polygon because everything is there, and then they actually understand what DeFi is. What are the tools? What is the difference between Aave and Compound? What is the difference between Sushi and Curve? What is the difference between Quick and Sushi? And these sort of things, right? A balancer. So I would definitely say to take $100, $50, whatever on Polygon, buy via credit card, come in via exchanges. We have all big exchanges integrated, Binance, Coinbase now. Coinbase? Yeah, I think Coinbase is live. Please don't quote me on that. Please don't quote me on Coinbase. I don't remember, but Binance is live. OKEX, OKCoin, all of them are live. So just move Matic or USDC on chain. Try it out, $50 worth of whatever. You can play around with these things, and then you truly understand how DeFi works, and then you will appreciate even more what Furo Combo is doing. So
yeah. Yeah, for sure. In the future, do you see the user experience of switching between Ethereum and Polygon to be easier? Like, is that something that Polygon is working on? So right now you have to sort of like manually switch between, Ethereum or Polygon if you're interacting with both for different things. In the future, does Polygon have plans to like make that process any easier, or is that even a possibility?
It's not really in our hand, to be honest. Like it depends, because our validators are on Ethereum, and you need to have 2x3 consensus of those validators to move any transaction through, right? So it depends on a bunch of things. It depends on Ethereum congestion at that time. It depends on pretty much Ethereum congestion at that time. Like we can't really do much there, because we have to have the validator staked as well as but there are other solutions coming up, like Hop protocol. There is Hyphen Bridge from Biconomy team. There is Connext, which is doing great stuff with state channel bridge. I think Hop is pretty cool. They have this AMM model built on top, and we are actually incentivizing that. I think we are doing some LP mining with them. So if you move funds via them, I think you get something. Or if you put liquidity on top of Ethereum and Polygon of USDC, you get some Matic. So those things we are doing. So I think bridges will help a lot in these things, but I think it's difficult for us to do. But yeah, some optimizations are happening around that. Yes.
Yeah, and then speaking of these bridges and just like all these different blockchains, thinking long term at some point, what do you think needs to happen, and like how do you see the ecosystem developing, let's say over the next like 5 years? Where do you see us being I know it's impossible to predict what's happening like next week, but if all goes, in your ideal world, if all goes according to plan, however you think that should be, where should we be in 5 years with bridges, with like multi-chains all interacting together? Where do you try to paint that picture for me as best as you can?
Yeah, I think I can do for 2 years. 5 years, I don't know what happens
Sure,
in 5 years. I can do for 2 years. I definitely think with rollups and these Ethereum L2 solutions coming, I definitely think that of course multi-chain is here, and that is why. And the reason multi-chain I'm saying is because we have found product market fit now. DeFi needs a level of security. NFTs need a different level of security. Gaming don't really need that level of security. So this and there are so many users. I think we are 6 million wallets, which roughly means 3 million people on an average, and wallets day by day increasing. I definitely think, but having said that, we are Ethereum. I don't know, not maximalists. I mean, we definitely believe that Ethereum is that one chain to be for 100 years because of the network effects, because of the people, the community that is there, and we want to take this forward with this multi-layer two approach thing. But I definitely think that for a user standpoint, so I like the idea that how Compound is doing. So Compound has their own chain, application specific chain, but they will deploy an implementation on Polygon. They have actually on Polygon testnet. They will have on Ethereum. They will have on some other EVM chain, but then they will all be connected via different mechanisms, and the interest rates will be same on all the markets, which is pretty cool. Which is not done yet. Like Aave has different implementations, but it's like a discrete market in itself. So there's no communication in between, but it is happening. So I think bridges, a better engineering of bridges with governance proposals passing in between them, like how we have with Ethereum and Polygon bridge that we have. So you can vote on L1, but the contract will be deployed on L2 trustlessly via governance. So those things, when that happens between chains, then only true composability, cross chain composability will happen. Otherwise, what I see is these applications themselves becoming bridges. Like Compound is. So you could deposit Matic here on Polygon, and you could take ETH on Ethereum or WBTC on Ethereum, keeping your collateral ratio the same. Aave could do the same with they have the L1 L2 governance ready between Polygon and Ethereum. So just to give an example, there is a vote right now for adding Aave GHST on the L2 market while voting on L1 market. So they don't want to move the governance to L2, like the voting on chain voting to L2, but the implementation will happen on L2 while the voting happens on L1, while their ST Aave, right, staked Aave is on L1. So that is only possible because our bridge, the Polygon bridge, allows people to communicate only messages, just messages also, not just tokens. So you could send any arbitrary message trustlessly between these things. So I don't think any other bridge. I think AnySwap has that. AnySwap V3 has that. If I'm not, V3 or V4 has that. But other than that, I don't think there are building bridges are difficult, like you saw with Poly Network hack, and day by day every bridge is getting compromised and stuff. But yeah, I think 2 years with DeFi becoming bigger and bigger, these apps themselves could become bridges. I think that could be a very, very big possibility.
Yeah, that actually segues us well into, I've got a bunch of questions from Twitter, and a lot of these we answered already, but people were really excited to have you come on, and they had lots of questions. So this one is from Reforest. They said, is any DAO currently using Polygon? What will be the pros and cons compared to the ones using Ethereum?
Oh, so when DAO, we are actually building a DAO. Polygon ecosystem DAO is happening. You can read about it at forum.polygon.technology. We are building a DAO. I'll come to the DAO thing, but yeah, we are building a DAO ourselves. Not ourselves, basically, but we want to decentralize certain decision making that we have been doing internally. We'll start small with DeFi. So if anyone who's interested in DeFi, want to contribute to the space, want to contribute to the growth, BD, development, marketing, all these sort of things, please go to the website forum.polygon.technology. We are working very closely with DAO House to set it up, to set those things up. And now coming back to the point where what DAOs are using, I think ChiDAO, which is the Polygon native project, is has very cool stuff on Polygon. Aavegotchi DAO, like I said, Aavegotchi is on Polygon, but yeah, I think now we have the tooling with Aragon, with DAO House, with tooling like Tally, with tooling like Commonwealth, these sort of tools around these things. I think we have Gnosis for the multi-sigs and all. I'm not too educated on that, to be honest. I'm not the best person to answer, but I think certain DAOs are being set up on Polygon as well.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And then here's another question. This one is specific to our product, but I think this can apply to like NFTs in general. So this person said, if we port our domain to Polygon, could we still modify anything in it? For example, assigning wallets, updating website, Chainlink verifying domains. I think that question could probably apply to just NFTs in general.
Yeah, NFTs, I don't think you can change them when you bring it to Polygon. I don't think so, but I was actually discussing this. I couldn't get an answer, but I'll reply back on that tweet. I saw this comment there. I didn't get an answer exactly, but I mean, you can move NFTs. You can move NFTs from Polygon, from Ethereum to Polygon via the same bridge. It's absolutely possible. But these domains, I mean, domains essentially are NFTs only. So ideally you could, but I'm not sure if you could change things when on Polygon and how that would affect on Ethereum. I'm not too sure about that, but I'll put an answer on that on the tweet. Yeah, I remember that.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting question as well. Very cool. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share? Anything we didn't cover about Polygon that you think is important for people to know before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I think if you are new to DeFi, I would say, or just NFTs, right? So, I mean, OpenSea, I think 80% of the volume came from Polygon, or a major chunk of volume came from Polygon, if I'm not wrong. It came from Polygon in the past. Volume or users, I don't remember exactly. Came from Polygon, so that is pretty cool. And the reason is, of course, low gas, and I know people in college, like I know students in college who are using OpenSea on Polygon itself, not anywhere else. And people are dropping university NFTs to on Polygon. So that's pretty cool, I think. But yeah, I think DeFi, if you are new in DeFi, I would definitely suggest to even like $20, $30, $50 buy some and try out things. But yeah, I think if you are building something, would love to. We have a big grants program. We have very interesting. We have created this Polygon incubation thing, that like a value added pack. We haven't figured out a word yet, but it's like a value added pack where certain projects which are community approved and get a lot of attention. We help them with giving it a good word, with audit firms, with cloud credits, with marketing support and these sort of things. So if you're a builder in this space, would love to catch up. You can reach me on Twitter at KHAMZAH22. That's my handle. And yeah, of course, on the forum.polygon.technology.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Hamzah, for taking the time to come on. I know I learned a ton from just this short conversation. I hope the listeners did as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll be back again soon with another episode of the Unstoppable Podcast.
Thank you, Diana. Thanks, everyone. Take care.